Hey, welcome back to the Victors podcast. So, the Big Ten recently released Michigan's new 8-game schedule, and my initial reactions are excited but kind of worried, because with this team in 2020, it could either be 7-1 or easily 4-4. The reason I say this is because Milton was named the starter after McCaffrey announced he was transferring, and Joe could finally be Michigan's elite QB. But Michigan still has problems with the line, even with Jalen Mayfield returning, and without a good line, it doesn't matter if you have Haskins, Charbonnet, Evans, and Blake Corum in the backfield. And earlier this year, I predicted Michigan to have its best defense of the Harbaugh era, but with the loss of Ambry Thomas, and there's still uncertainty at the linebacker position, I'm kind of worried. But if Ambry Thomas returns, I think this team could be great, because if by Minnesota or by Wisconsin, they answer those questions of, do we have a good defense? Does Don Brown know how to switch it up, play calling? Is he going to do the right thing in big games? Is our quarterback elite? Is our offense elite? And if they answer those questions, then I think we could be a great team, but vice versa. If they go out and stumble against Minnesota and then all the way through to Wisconsin, they don't run the ball good, the offensive line is terrible, it's too young, Joe Milton isn't the savior quarterback, and Don Brown is still up to his old ways, I think we could easily have like a 2017 team where nothing aligns and the quarterback isn't good and we just lose 4 or 5 games. And then let's get into the schedule. So Michigan opens up on the road against the daunting Minnesota with Tanner Morgan, who threw for 3,200 plus yards last year and 30 touchdowns. They also get back Rashad Bateman, which I think is the best receiver in the Big Ten besides Chris Olave. And then, like I said, we need to see what Joe Milton can do, what the offensive line can do. And then I think by Wisconsin, we'll know if they're elite or not, or if the offensive line is good enough, if Ed Warner can do as much as he can with those young guys to get them up to the level where they can block at least decently for running backs, and then obviously Joe. And then next up is MSU, which will be fun, because also this home and home series will make up for the 2013 and 2014 home and home series when MSU got Michigan at home for 2 years in their best seasons of recent history. And so to get into MSU, they still have uncertainty at quarterbacks, and I don't think any of their prospects look on the same level as Milton. They also lost key seniors on defense, and I don't expect Sparty to get an upset over Michigan for the next few years. So then next is at Indiana, and although they have Whop Phillier and Penix returning with a decent offense, they haven't beat U of M since 1987. And it's kind of like the OSU game, where although Michigan gets close sometimes, I'm not going to predict a win until I see one, because Indiana literally hasn't beaten Michigan in 23 years. It's just ridiculous. And then on November... Oh, also, people were predicting Indiana to be kind of a trap game, but I don't think so. I think Michigan will be looking at Indiana in full view because Indiana has kind of worried them the past few seasons, and like I said, they've gotten close. So I don't think this game could be a trap game. I don't really think Michigan has trap games on its schedule, unless you count Maryland, but I'll get into that later. And then on November 14th, it's home against Wisconsin. And by this game, I think the offense will hit its stride, and the defense will know where it stands, whether it's one of the greatest defense Michigan has had under Harbaugh, and if the new coaches brought in really affect Don Brown and his decision making. And then next Saturday is also they need to stop the run against Wisconsin. That's a huge thing. They could not do against Jonathan Taylor, and I know Jonathan Taylor is a beast, but they need to stop the run. I think Wisconsin next running back is really good too, so they need to stop the run, and they also need to put up some points on the Badger defense. And then next Saturday is at Rutgers, which will be a nice little practice to rest up starters for Penn State. I honestly think that Joe Milton does not have to start that game. You can just throw in McNamara, and he'll put up probably 30, 40. And then on the 28th is Penn State, and they come to town and show off Sean Clifford and his high-powered offense, and their receiver gang and their running back group. I think Penn State's and Michigan's running back group is 2 of the best in the country, easily. And I think it'll be kind of sweet to see Sean against Joe, because I think Michigan is trying to get into that high-powered offense scheme, and I think if both teams are undefeated, then this will be huge for the Big Ten, kind of like a decider before Michigan has to lose to Ohio State. And it'll also make it interesting if Penn State beats Ohio State in Week 2 at home. I think that'll be sweet. I think it'll be sweet to see 2 undefeated teams for atop the Big Ten for the moment. And then I also think Ronnie Bell and the Wolverines will try to get vengeance for last year's heartbreaker. And then next is Maryland, and although they do get to his brother, I'm pretty sure he doesn't play this year. I think he has to sit out. I don't know with Corona. I don't know what the rules are, what they've changed and stuff. And I just don't think Maryland's talent is good enough. I think Maryland is kind of at like a Michigan State level right now. Like they're trying to rebuild, but they're just not there yet. And Michigan State still might be kind of like light years away from Maryland, because at least Maryland's got a head start. It's been like 2 years of Michael Locksley, and I think they're on the rise. They just got obviously to his brother. I think they're getting better recruits than usual. But I like Maryland and Michigan State. I don't see them beating Michigan for the next few years. At least like 2 or 3. Or like unless something happens where like Jim Harbaugh gets fired, but that's it, yeah. And then after that, on December 12th, Michigan goes to Ohio State. And the thing is, even Michigan is like a great team and they establish a great QB. I just don't know. I don't see them beating Ohio State. Ohio State right now, and for the past probably like few years, probably since like 2016, has been a national championship level team. They are a grade team. It doesn't matter who it is. They are a national championship level team. And I can't see Michigan beating them away at Columbus. I don't. Just Justin Fields and the talent is just so much better than Michigan. And I don't care if you agree with me or not, if we don't get the same recruits or not talent, they're just a better team. They just have a better offense. Their defense closes out more. And it's also just like a mental thing. Like, we can't get over the hump. And I like how this year Harbaugh is kind of like getting back into it after a few years of not, like, people said he was like kind of out of it. Like, he didn't have the same intensity. I'm kind of glad that he's gotten back into it, putting like the picture, the clock in the Wolverines locker room. But that also isn't going to beat Ohio State, man. You have to make the right plays on defense. You have to make the right calls on defense. You have to have an elite quarterback. If we get those two things, I think we'll be way more competitive than last year. I think it might be a close game, but Ohio State still runs away with it. And so, and then to finally close out the regular season is a championship game against an equally seeded West opponent. And I think that's sweet. I think it's cool how they added that in there. I think they should keep that from now on, right before the bowl game. I don't think it should affect bowl games because they'll already have it set. But I think they should just add that in there for Big Ten Championship Week. I think that's sweet. And so those are my initial thoughts on Michigan's newest Big Ten schedule. But I also wanted to say about Ohio State is people don't realize how good they are, and that like Michigan got blown out last year. 2018 was unacceptable, obviously, but last year when Michigan got they did get blown out. It's like this team is literally one of the best in the country. I think if they played LSU, they honestly could have beat them. They should have beat Clemson. They are literally on the same tier as the team with like the best college quarterback ever. Like, they are so good right now. I don't think people understand that. I think people need to cut Michigan some slack because for the past 20 years, Ohio State, but besides literally like 3 years, has been amazing. Like, if you look at like past 20, 30 years, it's unprecedented how good they are and how like as a college football campus and community, how stable they are. Like, they never just drop off or have really bad years. The only time they had a bad year is 2011, obviously. And yeah, I just wanted to put that in there. And then, so yeah, those are my initial reactions. I'm Jeremy Brown, and as always, go Blue.